You are my best friend! Let's go! Yay! If you go, stop it. Oh, but also there. You are my best friend!
Hello. I have arrived here. If we haven't met before, my name is Kaiko. Thank you for joining me. How's everybody doing tonight? Happy Halloween. Thank you for the hype chain.
You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Thank you so much for the gifted subs. Started a hype train. I wasn't even here for it. I'm gonna play the sound because I like it. We've got multiple. Hello, you got dropped off here? Who dropped you off? Let me scroll back up. Who needs a shout out? I see Soya's here. Was it you? It was! Man. I wasn't even at the computer. You also got dropped off by here? Or dropped off here by Soya? Well, welcome to the stream! And Soya, thank you so much for the raid. You're probably off to sleep by now.
We got 46. 46, that's what we got.
Well, that's an old clip.
Okay, let's go back. I drank some water. We're now fighting the fancy Zumi child. Shad. Oh my god, Shad, what the hell? Wait, did you see that? Did you see the fucking damage? What?
Shorty Soya. You look so small. Damn, that's old. Yeah, this is very old. Welcome in, Raiders. If you haven't been here before, I'm everyone's favorite, only a little broken, misfit, demon from the underworld. Murasaki Kaiko desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. I just remembered I also forgot to change the title. We're telling ghost stories tonight. Spooky stories in general. Just chatting. Welcome to the scuff. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back, everybody. Connor, welcome back. Ifibiki, welcome back. Wintergrass, welcome here. I hope your day is well. Suba, welcome back. What else we got? What else we got? Dom, welcome back. How are you today? You had a full song? For the hype train? But then it wouldn't have the same effect to it. Also, Vinny, welcome back. How are you today? The Robert sent by Cyberlife. If you're still here, welcome to the stream. How are you today? I see. You must have already had a shout out. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Anybody else I just missed? Thank you, thank you. That you hate to just arrive and bounce? That's okay. I understand. It's pretty late on the other side of the planet. It was nice meeting you too. Thank you for the follow again. How do you prefer us to call you? Hey, Kaiko. You can call me Kaiko. Or, I mean, you can call me Kai, but it might get a little confusing, because we do have another Kai in the community. Also, my cousin Kai. Fast Kai? Oh, I like that, though. No, my cousin probably would have an issue with that. I think he's faster than me. True Kai. I'm okay with that one. That's good. How are you guys doing today? I know I already asked that, but I don't know if I got any answers. There's a lot on my screen. You think you were in that stream? The one with the old clip of Soya? How's your Halloween? Did you guys have any... Did you do any fun things over the holiday weekend? Going to parties? Bobbing for apples? Trick-or-treating? What do kids do these days? Terrorize the town? Drunk AF yesterday. I understand. You gave out kids that came knocking at your door. That's very nice. I haven't given out candy in a while. Like a long while. I think I did it once, if I'm honest. I was like, I'm not doing that again. You playing Overwatch? I did play a little bit of that yesterday. I had to. I hadn't played in like a week. How'd my party go? It was a lot of fun. We played Cards Against Humanity and just joked around for a couple minutes. Like a long time. And then watched some spooky, scary story movies. They weren't very scary, but there's, you know, horror elements in every comedy, I guess. And what I mean by that is, have you guys ever heard of Barbarian? It's like it's supposed to be, it's a newer film, and it was supposed to be like one of the scariest stories people have ever heard of, and like seen in a long time. It was funny. It was very funny. Like there's a couple of scary moments, and then it just got ridiculous. You can't stick around because you have to greet trick-or-treaters on a Monday? Huh. I wonder if that's the same here. I didn't look. Thanks for stopping by, I appreciate it. And good luck with the trick-or-treaters. Some of them can be rude. I hope you have a good night. I've been the same as you've been recently. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it improves soon. You think you scared him because you look dead tired? I collected a new emote. Oh, nice. Glad you had fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. My brother only stayed for a short time, so it was a blast. He was not happy that I told him his game was not scary at all, and that it was stupid. And that the plot made no sense. Well, I thought it was scary. Well, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Why is the TV covering Skelly's giblets? Make your move, Skelly. Oh, this is Skelly's cousin. Skelly. Labeled Other Skelly. Put him over here by the pumpkins. You can see his you can see his pelvis. Perv. You saw that this weekend? So weird. Like you had to deduce a lot. Number one. Number two, I'm sorry, it's just there are so many funny bits. I won't get into it in case anybody wants to watch it, but that feeding scene was traumatizing. I would have felt terrible if it wasn't such a horrible guy. It's like, you know what? No, I think this is deserved, it sounds like. Yeah. He was resistant at first, but then he was okay with it. But in that, it was pretty traumatizing. If it would have been anybody nice, like Peter. Peter, that's my name. That went a long way this weekend. I talk about it a lot. That game was so dumb. Silver Chains, don't play it. If you haven't played it, don't play it unless you get it for free and just want to spend a few hours, like 7 hours of your life doing nothing with a couple of jump scares. Then yes, do that. Otherwise, don't touch it. This looks like a lever. Oh, don't. That's clearly a head. Very clearly. I played, like I said, Cards Against Humanity, and I realized how very, very innocent I am compared to everybody else I know. Ooh. Not many of them understood my humor. So then they would throw away cards and like, this is hilarious. What are you talking about? Teach for America is teaching inner city kids with a dollop of sour cream? That's very funny. Because it's so ridiculous. The Skelly is twerking? Yeah, that's what Halloween's all about. Candy and twerking skeletons. Everybody knows it. If you haven't, what rock have you been living under? Stick to apples and apples to apples, Kaiko. I was thinking that as we were playing, I'm like, oh god. Can we just play apples to apples? There are a couple of things that I didn't know what the word was, and everybody was like, oh, blah, blah. And I was like, nobody tell me. I don't know what it is, and please don't tell me. I want to stay innocent. I don't care. I don't care. Don't tell me what it is. Oh, based on your reaction, I'll just know it's the disgusting thing if I ever hear it. Anybody ever says the word. Black. What new hype emote did I get? Let's go find out. Oh, is it this? A hype num? Or was it this bird? Hype aw. Or this pug? When did I have this one? I've got 3 that I don't know. I know I got 1, but I don't know what it is. Is that innocence I smell? It is. These jokes with malicious intent. I hear those so often. Sometimes people will get me with them and it'll be funny, but for most time it's like, that one, I saw that one coming from a mile away. Come on, you gotta be more clever than that to impress me. Unless you want a pity laugh. Or one of the new sound redeems. How many of you been down to look at the new sound redeems? There's 3 new ones, specifically. I made them for subs only, but they're free. And then the scary ones that will make me jump are you have to donate some bits, but not a lot. I'm waiting to hear it. I'm gonna take a drink of... I made a little a garbage drink. One of my classic garbage drinks for this very chill stream. It's a cherry vanilla rum with a peach energy drink. It's very good. Very, very, very good. I also have to make sure I keep an eye on all the streaming stuff. That everything is going well. Welcome to chat. That's great news. I hope I didn't miss any messages. Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm gonna put my all into these stories tonight. So I hope you enjoy the tales that other people have spun for you, but that I am going to convey. Danny, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. How are you today? The bougie. I'm the bougiest of demons. Truly indeed. I should have turned these off actually, because I have a costume that I was gonna put on. Well, I guess you could wear it at the same time. I wonder if that's gonna...
I know what that spells.
Ass.
Ass. Mom. Ass.
Stop it.
That one gets me every time. Alright, you can still kind of see the... You still kind of see it. Woo! M Ghost. I'll wear this for only a little bit. Later, when we start telling stories. I'm gonna start with some short stories. Truly spooky ones. They're basically a paragraph long. I read one of them already and I was like, ooh! Oh no, kind of thing. Like my ghost costume. I also went full demon mode today, specifically for all this stuff. I still have some really long ones. You guys know what the Russian sleep experiment is? Oh, I'm a little stop motion. Hang on, give me a minute and I'll fix myself. Yes, the bougiest of demons. A true posh. No, posh true. True guy. That's the bougie redeem. I also have Dadco. I get a really big mustache. Yes, it was terrifying. Yeah, I'm gonna read about that. Well, I'm gonna read it out loud. They wrote it. It's in the like little story format. It's the one that Shaq sent. It's a longer story, so it's gonna take a minute to read out loud, but we'll get to that. And I also have some very classic scary stories to tell in the dark, as well as some stories from the No Sleep subreddit. I picked just the ones that had the most upvotes. Guaranteed to be terrifying or startling in some way. So make sure you grab a blanket and some popcorn if you want, or a snack. Get something to hydrate with. And we should dive into it after I take another drink. Yo! What's up, Shaq? Welcome back. I mean, Salt. Welcome back. How are you today? A barnacle? Is that a barnacle that's named Barb? That's what I think. Or a barbecue. of barnacles. Could be anything, really, if you think about it. A history of the Ouija board. Now that would be interesting if it wasn't for Milton Bradley. A barbershop has appeared. Oh, just in time. My mustache needs a trimming. Shall we get started? Is everybody ready for some spooky scaries? Get I don't know. What helps with being scared? A teddy bear? You got a plushie nearby you can hug on? You have a tail? I do have a tail. It's a unique tail. It's a family genetics. It's triple spades. It's very long too. Sometimes I get it shut in the car door and that's painful. What are you gonna do though? You know, when you're absent-minded, you're absent-minded. Nobody caught the barbershop. Can relate. It's rough. It's a rough life. I was surprised that Soya does not have a tail. I thought for sure she'd have some kind of fin. Nothing. You're good, but Erina is sick? I'm sorry to hear that. Hope she feels better. It's Halloween. Did she eat too much candy? That would happen to me if my job wasn't so terribly boring. Like, Halloween? That's not a true holiday. If it was a true holiday, you'd have it off. Get back to work. No joke. Probably overheated in her walrus costume at work. But that's also a possibility. It get a little too hot in there. I think I'd be too tired. It's more like PJs, aren't they? I have a Mike Wazowski one. This is very cozy. Oriana, yeah, I hope she recovers quickly. You like the background? Yes, it was a special one. I was gonna use it only for my 3D model, but I was doing some edits to it. Iris is also doing some edits to it. So we can have some redeems. So I figured this was the perfect one. It's all purpley and spooky, and there's dancing skellies and ghosts in the fireplace, and we brought Pumpkin in. Which I think I'm just gonna have to keep Pumpkin all year round because I'm attached to him now. He's so stinky cute. This is perfect for scary stories? I'm glad you agree. The stuff on the wall looks like an Applebee's. Well, you never know when you're gonna need... You never know when you're gonna need a mirror, so of course we're gonna have 3. And then there's no lights, we have to have candles everywhere. Which, you know, are a fire hazard, but it's fine. There's also what I think is a door next to the record player. And I don't understand why that is, but I'm not gonna question it. It just is. It's also foggy out tonight and windy, it appears. But it would be pretty funny if I just had a waitress walk by. Kaiko dear, can I get you anything else? Oh no, I'm good, thank you very much. Okay, just shout if you need anything. Pay no mind. There's also, I don't know if you can see it over here. Well, let me move my drink. Where is it? I'll use a teapot. You see over here? That's a bathtub. I don't know what that's doing there. Why is there a bathtub in my living room? No one knows for sure. The door opens with a rope. Please don't pull it. Just close it. It's fine. It's fine. You know, the part that got me is when... What's his face? Justin Long? This character went down there to measure out the room and was not fazed by it whatsoever. Oh yeah, you bad guy. You definitely a bad guy. You bad guy or just a sheer idiot. Speaking of doors that open with ropes, how about we read about the puppy in the basement? You've been in an Airbnb that had a bathtub in the living room? Was it this house? I do like the curtains though. I mean, yeah, the ones are raggedy, but there's also purple up there. The Diddly Horror? Thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Oh, welcome to the stream, how are you today? I'm gonna throw my costume on. It was a castle tower? And the plumbing only went there. Oh. Why did plumbing go to the living room, specifically? That doesn't seem like the place that I would specifically want plumbing to go to. You know, it's not my house, not my say, I guess. This one promises to be super creepy. The puppy in the basement. Mommy told me to never go in the basement. But I wanted to see what was making that noise. I kind of sounded like a puppy. And I wanted to see the puppy. So I opened the basement door and tiptoed down a bit. I didn't see a puppy. And then Mommy yanked me out of the basement and yelled at me. Mommy never yelled at me before. It made me really sad and I cried. Mommy told me never to go in the basement again, and she gave me a cookie. That made me feel better. So I didn't ask her why the boy in the basement was making noises like a puppy, or why he had no hands or feet. Yeah, bae. Was the toilet also in the living room? I mean, I guess that's a fair question. Not a lot of places. You can put your bathtub in a tower? That's fair. You probably don't have a lot of rooms in the tower, do you? The toilet had a different room? Did it also have plumbing there, though? Oh, you got a sheet on you! Lily in the basement is better than a puppy on a bed? A cold? No, it's a scary. It's woo. It's scary. I'm Ghost. A Halloween costume, dumb. You still disturbed about the twerking skeleton? Skelly lives to dance. Oh, I'm scared. It's hard to find costumes when you're an anime girl without paying extra money. Hot damn, that done did spook me. Yeah, sometimes you'd think that you were from the southern United States. I have 2 cute fangs. I do it. I do have fangs. Bold choice with the holes cut out of the sheet. No, I just drew it on there. It's not a hole. It's just a. It's Sharpie. It'll be fine. What if I told you I am? Do I have a dun dun dun? I don't think I do. That's a shame. I make costumes to fit dragons? I wouldn't know. Not dragon. Figure out how to make myself spookier. I'll be extra scary. Next Halloween, you're gonna be like, whoa, what the hell's happened here? And I'll come back with, that's what happened. You could be terrified. You might pee a little bit even. You'd be so scared. What's scary? Very boo. It's even scarier with the bougie aspects to it. I found out. Nunchucks, but not spelled like nunchucks. Spelled like nuns that you chuck. How tall am I? I am 5'3". Small. But not as small as Fubiki. Fubiki's pocket-sized. Pocket-sized demon dragon. At a whopping 4'9". I wish this ambient music was like a little bit louder. Ah, it stopped repeating. Naruhodo. There we go. Spooky. You got it right. I know it's only taken me like 75 tries. I finally got it. I understand now. Spooky is fight-sized. He's gonna bust me out of prison apparently. I'm gonna take another drink of my garbage drink. It's delicious, by the way. Michelle Frolic Young had a strange experience with her 2-year-old daughter. This tale is called Nunchucks. When my daughter was 2, I found her twirling paper towel tubes tied with twine in the air. I asked her what she was doing. She said, practicing her nunchucks. I was very confused as she'd have no way of knowing what they were. I asked her what she meant, and she said that Adam told her how to make them and showed her each night how to use them. She went on to say that Adam told her to practice because she may need to know how to defend herself someday. I almost freaked out, but I asked her what Adam looked like. She said he was tall, blonde, and had blue eyes. She said, Mommy, you know how he looks. You know him. He died of a headache. I had to leave the room. You see, 4 months before that, before she was born, my tall, blonde, blue-eyed martial arts pro friend had died of a brain aneurysm at the age of 27. She's not spoken of him since that day, so I'm not sure if I scared her away with my reactions or if she completed her lessons. I sneak in with a ton of C4? Please do. This is prison break. Or we'll do it Leslie Nielsen way and just get like a pole vault pole. Practicing for the Olympics, we'll say. And then we'll just jump the wall. Your roll to seduce the ghost? Okay, exclamation point D20. Better work. Come on, stream elements, don't fail me. To be fair, it is hard to remember which ones have it. Then cancel. I don't want it. Or is it exclamation point roll? It might be roll. It is. It's roll. Exclamation point roll. I apologize. D20 was Nightbot, but he's gone now. Aw, Wintergrass gave Vinny 10 points. That's so nice. Result was an 18? I think you might have seduced him. Adam was his name? There's someone under the bed. This one's very short. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, Daddy, check for monsters under my bed. I look underneath for his amusement, and I see him. Another him. Under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, Daddy, there's someone in my bed. Spooky! What would you do? What would you do? Panic? Kill them both. Better safe than sorry. A true Fubiki answer, if I've ever seen one. You don't take much to seduce. You get back home, you gonna write something for me to read? You got it. Burn the house. I think the spiders are haunted too. That's probably the safest bet. Burn it down. Burn it all down. Start over. It was an accident. I don't know what happened. Next one's called The Chair. I hope it's not about chairlos. My sister Betsy and I were kids. Our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. It loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost. We called her Mother because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some morning, Betsy and I would wake up on each other's nightstands. We'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother left them there, worried that we'd get thirsty during the night. She just wanted to take care of us. Among the home's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch the chair forward across the room, towards us. Sometimes she'd manage to move it all the way to the center of the room. I always felt sad putting the chair back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we'd moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupants. A widow. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them each a cup of poisoned milk before bed. Then she hung herself. The article included a photo of the farmhouse's living room, with a woman's body hanging from the beam.
Who are you people?
Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair, placed exactly in the center of the room. Big, thank you for the raid! Welcome in, raiders! Time for the biggest raid! Vinny, now's your time to shine. Your poor heart. And your pants. Alright, I got you this time, Vinny. Oh, you're
How
lucky.
that was for you guys, and I'm sorry if that was like destroying, but that hurt. Wow.
What a mess that was.
Correct. Woo.
Sally made a little doo-doo, but she's all clean now.
Wee. Ooh. Oh no. That's cheating. Man, here it's overrated anyway. Let's just I'm just gonna real quick do something. Oh wow, that freezes the game.
That sounds a little scarier than the story. Jeez. Ek, welcome back. How are you today? The spooky, scary Windows 11. That's what Ek dressed up as. He's here to install Windows 11. Bum bum ba. I think there's only a couple more of these. Yeah, there's only a couple more of these short ones. Very, very, very short. My Halloween costume is almost as spooky as yours. I'm glad to hear it. Not Windows 11! I know, Ak is a monster. I know what Windows version you're on. Words like this.
I know what Windows version you're on.
You ran to your phone to get that shout out? Not trying to be upstaged by Cujo. Cujo hasn't stopped by in a while. I wonder how he's doing. Yep, that's the one. I gotcha. Anyways, welcome in, Raiders. If you haven't been here before, I'm everyone's favorite, only a little broken, misfit, demon from the underworld, Murasaki Kaiko desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Today we're spelling out all the scary stories. We're telling scary stories. And some not so scary, but some should be scary. Phone rings. I know you don't have Windows 11. No! Sorry, welcome back. We just read a story that was called you. It's called The Chair. It was spooky. I guess. Spooky. I love that you have a chair emote. Forgot to send in your scary stories. If you have another one, I mean, you can post it in the suggestions. And I read that instead of one of the no sleep ones. Yeah, cherry mode is cute. It is. You gotta thank me for spelling your name wrong. It was autocorrect. I was like, clearly you mean chair. You couldn't mean anything else. Although whose person's name is Chair, I don't know, but hey, I'm not judging. Happy spooky day, everyone. Happy spooky day to you too, Benji. How you doing today? You just joined and you see a twerking skeleton? Yeah, it's Scully. He loves to dance. You're judging? Don't judge him. He's got some killer moves. Also, welcome back, Momo. How are you today? Oh, you guys are married? I wasn't invited to the wedding? Wow. Good. A spooky day after all. True. Even though it's already over for you? Yeah, it's Tuesday already over there. But you can't stay because you have to work early? but you wish me a great stream. Thank you very much. I hope you have a great day at work tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Shut up and take my money.
Oh, thanks for the bits. Like I changed the little things, so now they're pretty circles. They stack very nicely. I like that. Eh? What eh? Eh? Thought you didn't want to come anyway? Of course I would go to the wedding. It's very deja vu. You got married to somebody else and I wasn't invited? Or you've been married for a long time and it's just happy anniversary? Scully gets more bits. Scully deserves bits. He puts in a lot of work. Even though this is other Scully. Still Scully though. This is Scully's cousin Scully. Do I want to hear the urban legend of Nova Scotia? Where you and Biggs are from? Absolutely. Do you want to tell it? Are you in my server? If not, I can go into Biggs's. I know you have a very, like, what's the word? Theatrical? Is that right? Where is you? Biggs, Bibbs, Bigson. Where did I follow you? There you are. I'm gonna go into the gaming VC. Oh wait, no. Here, general. You wanna hop in there? You're back with Chips? Welcome back. Oh, you can type it out? I can do that, yeah. Hang up out of there. I'm gonna jump in the VSay one in case Biggs has stories. Scully's cousin Scully? Oh, Scully. Oh, that's a good one. Always knew he was a better dancer. I know, he shines. Ketchup chips? Ew. There are better chips, I'm certain of it. Double crunch ruffles? Jalapeno cheddar. That does sound pretty good. Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Keep the bones polished, it helps with the presentation. You know what, that's fair. Yeah. Plus you can tell he doesn't bleach. He's still got that yellow look to him. How dare I say there are better chips? But those are close second. Well, I'll accept it. The ghost at home. While Bracky is typing everything up, I'll read this next one. It's very short. The natural look is always the best. I agree. Yeah. I agree. Not like the skull back there by the fireplace munching on a doorknob, I think. Or a door knocker. Tim's fedora. Alright, the ghost at home. Last night a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act of a local bar's music night. After a few drinks I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings someone answered. I gave out a low, raspy giggle and hung up. Didn't answer again. Eventually I gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. Ooh. Scary. Like, I wonder what creepy song is. Well, do I have that on here? Spooky. The only bad thing about this area is the chat is so small. So small. Vanilla-ish. Ah, that's the end of these ones. Great. These ones are short too. I won't read all these, there's like 30 of them. We don't need that many. We'll step it up here and read some, very classic scary stories to tell in the dark. Here we go. Alright. So, Nova Scotia, for those that don't know, is in east coast of Canada. In Nova Scotia, NS for short, there's a place called Peggy's Cove. Lovely place with lighthouse, large rock face, like beach area, right against the ocean. Once upon a time, there was a woman named Margaret who lived nearby. This is around, if memory serves, the late 1800s. And she was believed to be the wife of the iconic Peggy's Cove. She married the Cove? How do you marry Cove? I understand. Supposedly, Margaret's children died upon the black rocks, basically the wet rocks at Peggy's Cove. It's rumored that on particular nights, you can see her in a blue dress hovering above the black rocks to this day. She really loved that cove. Don't judge. Alright, no judgment. If a Margaret wants to marry a cove, then Margaret can marry a cove. Oh, wife of the lighthouse owner. I understand. At the end of the stream, the last story I will tell is a story that my mother told me from when she was a child. Well, teenager. She was a teenager. So stick around if you want to hear that one. It's actually rather creepy. Yeah, but any stories that you guys want to share tonight, if you go into the Discord server and leave it in suggestions and feedback, I will read it. And if you don't know, there's the Discord server. Feel free to join. We have cool emotes. Let's see, this new old house, or I hate when my brother Charlie has to go away. Oh, that one sounds like it's gonna be stupid. Let's read it. You got plenty? You're a big old nerd for Nova Scotian urban legends? Send them my way, I'll read them. And a personal story right now, I'll read that too. Let me know when it's done. Can confirm, pretty cool emotes. Yep, there's always more on the way. I like emotes. If I speak through emotes and gifs, that's what I do. Give you a minute, type it out, you got it. We're gonna read, I hate when my brother Charlie has to go away. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, and that I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations, like undammed rivers. I complain about how bored I am without my little brother to play with. They try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom is likely far surpasses mine, considering he's confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give me one last chance, or to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie's been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. Neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest. My dad's razor found dropped on the baby side of the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced with bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I'll just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie goes away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he's back. What a twist! This one. Spooky. That's a long ghost sound. I don't like that one. Also need to turn this down a little bit. There. Oh man, he's the bad one. Yeah. Poor Charlie. Oh no. Guardians? Seeing Red? We'll have to read that one. It's called Seeing Red. The first day of school. Everyone loves the first day of school, right? No. I hated the first day of school. It was stressful. New year, new classes, new friends. It's a day full of potential and hope before all the dreary depression of reality shows up to ruin all the fun. I like the first day of school for a different reason, though. You see, I have sort of a power. When I look at people, I can sense sort of an aura around them. A colored outline based on how long that person has to live. Most everyone I meet around my age is surrounded by a solid green hue, which means they have plenty of time left. A fair amount of them have a yellow-orange tinge to their auras, which tends to mean a car crash or some other tragedy. Anything that takes place before their time, as they say. The real fun is when the auras venture into the red end of the spectrum, though. Now and again, I see someone who's basically a walking spotlight. Those are the ones who get murdered or killed themselves. It's such a rush to see them and know their time is numbered. With that in mind, I always get to class very early so I can scout out my classmates' fates. But the first kid to walk in is basically radiating red. I chuckled to myself. Too damn bad, bro. But as people keep walking in, they all had the same intense glow. I finally caught a glimpse of my rose-tinted reflection in the window. But I was too stunned to move. Our professor stepped in, locked the door, his aura a sickening shade of green. You don't think anyone does? Professor's gonna kill his students, damn it. On the first day of school? He really didn't want to go back. So I'd rather go to prison than this school one more time, damn it. You don't even hate your students yet. At that point, I think. You have brand new ones. It's more of like a third or fourth day thing, though. Yeah, we can get some time to, like, I hate these kids. I guess school is hell. I think it is for everybody, yeah. Audio machine? Evil Temple? A perfect BGM for this kind of stream? Yeah, I just have, like, ambient spooky sounds, allegedly. I don't know how loud it is compared to how I speak, though. It's hard to judge it. Play his MCR louder. I never really listened to My Chemical Romance. They're too emo-y. Too edgy for me. Keep on hearing this little demon's voice, so it's pretty spooky. The spooky, scary demon? I did add some, like, buttons, but I've already forgotten which ones I added, so I don't want to use them. Ooh, this is very short. My daughter learned to count. Where are you putting stories again? In the suggestions and feedback. It's hard to judge for you too with your surround system. You hear me in your whole room. That would be cool. I used to wear headphones all the time. But also, even if I didn't have to, I would probably still wear them just in case I disturb my neighbors. I'm too polite sometimes. Too considerate. Unless you listen to the game considerate, and then I'm just average. My daughter woke up around 11:50 last night. My wife had picked her up from her friend Sally's birthday party. Brought her home and put her to bed. My wife went to the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging on my sleeve. "Guess how old I'm gonna be next month?" "I don't know, beauty." I said as I slipped on my glass. As I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled and held out 4 fingers. 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got them. Get the neighbors? They should be happy to be able to hear my stream. They don't even know. I make the tiniest of sounds and they get mad. They're so loud. I said it was short. My daughter learned to read and then stopped. I thought that was the whole story. No. She learned to count. She's gonna be 4. She had 4 fingers, but the parents don't know where she got those fingers. That's silly. A warrior of gods? This one sounds interesting. We'll read the next 2 and then switch over to scary stories for some nostalgia for those of you who have ever read those books. You added yours? Perfect. Maybe we'll do that instead. This one is a warrior of God. If God exists, why is there so much evil in the world? That's a common question, but It's misplaced. All things must have a balance. Light and dark, good and evil, sound and silence. Without one, the other cannot exist. So if that's true, then God does nothing to fight evil. Oh, that's the question. So if that's true, then God does nothing to fight evil? That may be your follow-up question. Of course he fights evil, relentlessly. I'm Dartalion, one of his most holy and righteous angels. I roam the earth, disposing of evil wherever I find it. I kill the monsters you don't ever want to know about. I crush them completely so that you can sleep at night. You humans have no idea how many you live with. Oh, no, I read that wrong. You humans have no idea how many of you live because of the work I do. But what about Stalin, Hitler, Ted Bundy, Jack the Ripper? Those are minor ones I had to let live. Balance. The ones I destroy are too horrible and vile to survive. What's funny is, while I would wager you'd never have heard my name in any religious texts, I bet you have heard of me. Americans, for example, have their own name for me. Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. Like that kind of story? You can recommend an interactive game called Duskwood. For the phone, it's free to play, but really well made. I will make a note of that. That does sound very cool. Bengo, welcome back. How are you today? My eyes are spoopy, but I'm still cute. I'm in full demon mode. So I want the spoopy stories you wrote? Absolutely. Put it in the Discord server, in my Discord server, in suggestions and feedback, and I'll read it. Right now we're gonna go read Vinny's. KK? Okay. Nani? Always liked the porque was both why and because you could use it porque. Why? Because. We're in the Discord server in suggestions and feedback. It has a little thinking emoji. Specifically in mind, but if you want to put it in the Overwatch one, I'll find it somewhere. Wherever you want to put it, just let me know. This one comes to us from our very own beloved Vinny. I'll do my very best to read this. Well, you're quick. As a kid, my mom bought me this day bed for real cheap at a garage sale. It was an antique looking, well, it was kind of antique looking, but it was still in good shape. My 3 sisters would sleep on it and complain that it would shake at night and wake them up. Growing up in Cali, we figured it was a small earthquake or something. But as it occurred more and more, my mom got worried. She would occasionally hear a squeak, like someone was jumping on it, but would write it off as just being old. One night she decided to sleep on it, and she woke up with the bed shaking, just like my sisters had. described. She felt a hand on her thigh, but figured it was one of my sisters, playing, and she planned on going back to bed. It was then she noticed my 3 sisters were on the main upper bed. There was a nightlight, and she sat up. She had a blanket over her, and she could see the imprint of a hand on her thigh under the blanket. As she went to peek under the blankie, the hand suddenly pulled away, down her legs towards her feet, and disappeared. She never saw the hands. She could see the hand prints under the blanket move, and she definitely felt the touch of a cold hand run down her leg. She got rid of the bed the next day. I would too. Burn it! Burn it, find the bones, and burn those too. Whew. Sounds like a feature to me. Aren't those like, I don't, motels that have beds that shake? Like you put a quarter in or something like that? I've seen them on TV. You're an exit. Sounds like there's a perverted ghost living in that daybed. Yeah, exactly. Except they get the feature for free and extra company. Sure, on TV. Sure. I've never been to a motel where they had that, and I've been to some pretty shady motels. That's a pretty spooky one. I was scared for my life. It was fine though. I didn't die, so. Not sure if you posted it in the right place. Where did you put it? Yes, Kaiko? That's fine too. I'll read it there. First, Pengu story. It's titled 333, as in a time. Like the time is 3:33. A story. This ghost story begins like so many before. You have a man who does not believe in the paranormal. Oh, that's where it ends. You have a man that does not believe in the paranormal. Horror movies are nothing more than entertainment and fantasy, right? Oh, how wrong he was. How much he would regret believing those stories were flights of fancy created by overactive imaginations. Heed the warning in these words. Never ever answer the door at 3:30 in the morning. 3:33 in the morning. It was a cold and depressing Friday night. As the storm rolled in early in the day. The young man was sitting on his couch playing games with his friends online like every weekend had gone before. Staying up past midnight was not a burden, but a welcome reprieve from a long work week and a pleasant way to wind down. As everyone began logging off for the night and saying their goodbyes, the man checked his tableside clock. Bright red numbers read 2 a.m. He wasn't tired yet and decided to stay up and play a few more games. But he always struggled. He always struggled to sleep through storms anyway. This night, however, the games and the storm would forever change the young man's life. As he finished another run of missions, the young man looked back at the clock. 3:15 a.m. I decided he had enough for the night. Wayne would start his usual routine and head off to bed. After brushing his teeth and turning off the lights in his kitchen, the storm began to crescendo in its fury outside. As he turned off the lights in the living room, he looked down at the clock one last time, as everything outside suddenly went silent at 3:33 a.m. How loud the storm had begun raging, the sudden lack of sound was deafening. He rushed to the window to look outside and saw the storm was still raging but made no sound. Shocked, he closed the curtain, disturbed by the eerie silence that now penetrated his world. Suddenly, a booming thump. Let's see if we can do this. A booming thump, thump, thump rang out from his front door. Checked his window again, but could see no one by the well-lit door. Thump, thump, thump. Went through the door again, as if someone was slamming the full force of their fist against the whole wooden frame. Not to be intimidated by a man. Not to be intimidated, the man walked to the door, unlocked it, and swung it wide, expecting to see something blowing against it. Instead, he was greeted by two small children with unnaturally pale faces. The boy was taller than the girl, both dressed in what could have been easily considered Sunday attire. Their eyes were not eyes of the living, but were cold, dead, and piercing. A chill gripped the man to the core of his mortal soul. The little girl had a teddy bear in her grasp, an unnaturally large, wicked smile scoring the length of her face. The boy bore a completely opposite expression, with downturned lips and eyes that appeared to be in the brink of tears. Sir, would you please let us in? The storm is terrible, and freezing my sister and I to death, the boy said, with a heart-wrenching treble in his sing-song voice. Oh, I got that right. The man's jaw felt frozen, as if someone had fused his teeth together with glue. He felt an all-too-familiar sinking in his stomach. The one you only get when you know danger is close. Sir, why are you scared of us? We are only children abandoned and suffering in this bitter cold. The girl's voice slithered between each word, as if it hissed, as if hissed out by a cobra, attempting to enchant its prey before striking its victim to death. The man exhaled. Frozen air penetrated the space between him and the children, forming a cloud that slowly rose to join the others. Instincts took over before he knew it. He slammed the door shut between him and the children. His fingers threw the lock with such force that it rattled in its housing. His lungs felt like they were on fire, and he realized he had not taken a breath during the entire encounter. As he inhaled a large gulp of air, it did little to relieve the burning in his chest, for the air was frigid, as if it was from a freezer. By chance he looked at the clock, and it still read in bright red numbers 3:33 a.m. The clock had to be broken. It had to be wrong. More than a minute had passed. He rushed to his watch, and in the black digital numbers it read 3:33 a.m. Man's eyes went wide. As longer than a second passed, but the numbers refused to budge. thump. Boy's voice rang out after the third. Please, the storm is terrible. Let us in. Spare us from its wrath. Thump, thump, thump. Yes, sir. Would you really deny us, children, the safety from the storm? The girl's voice now, lengthening every S. Shaking, the man shouted back, I don't know who or what you are, but leave me alone. Go home. Thump, thump, thump. The third thump shook the entire house this time. Let us in. Thump. Let us in. Thump. Let us in. Thump. The children's voices penetrating the walls of the house, growing louder with each utterance. Like a child, man found himself fleeing upstairs to his room, driven by an unfamiliar fear. Shortly after closing the door and twisting the lock to his room, the man exhaled a sigh of relief. Thump, thump, thump. The door to his room shook with force of each blow. The handle was forcibly twisted to and fro with such rapid force that the sound was similar to that of a washing machine. Let us in. Let us in. Let us in. Shadows of 4 shoed feet could be seen between the crack between the floor and the bottom of the door. The man crawled under his bed, forcing himself as close to the wall as possible as the thumping in the voices intensified. Shivering with fear, the man looked at the watch he'd grabbed earlier, and it read 3:33 a.m. An impossible cold crept into his room. Ice began forming on the wall behind him. He could hear ice forming in the windows as it grew cold. The man wondered if this nightmare would ever end, or it was some sort of punishment for not believing in ghosts. Closing his eyes, he whispered beneath his breath, I believe ghosts are real now. Now please, please, will you leave me alone and go home? The sound of howling wind and rain slapped against the windows. In return, the bitter cold had retreated back that commonly felt with the storms. The man opened his eyes, stared at the watch. The time read 3:34 a.m. Spoopy. Scariest story I ever heard. Kaiko doesn't like My Chemical Romance? Finn. Did you do good? You did very good. That was a very well written story, sir. Nice job. Did I do good? Did I do it justice? Yeah, patchy, patchy, patchy. I did so much justice. I'm glad to hear it. Awesome storytelling. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for Pengu too. Well, this one's early 1700s. I do like the history ones too. For some reason, I think they're just spookier because you don't know. Like it could be. Who knows? Who knows what people were on back then? I mean, they gave gin to babies. I'm taking a quick drink. I feel like your stories aren't nearly as good. I guess related to me where you live, but not as good as the story I just told. Well, that's because I think Pengu is a writer. Whereas you're retelling stories from your town, right? So it's not necessarily told in a tale of... How do I want to word that? Whereas Pengu wrote this specifically for the theatric side of things, I guess. Retelling a story from local history can be much more difficult to get accuracy and all the theatrics in there. Yeah. So creative writing in college. If it paid more, it would have totally gone into writing as a major. The same. I really wanted to write. I wanted to write for, like, a lot of things. I had a lot of story ideas, and all half finished. Because I always have a lot of ideas, and then I start one, and I'm like, I don't know where to go from here. I better write a new one.
Who are you people?
Mithra, thank you for the raid. Hey, welcome in, raiders. Telling spooky, scary stories tonight. Welcome in. Happy birthday! And happy Halloween. Mithra raid. Welcome. If you haven't been here before, I'm everyone's favorite, only a little broken, misfit demon from the underworld, Murasaki Kaiko desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Also, birthday raid. Yeah. How was your birthday? I hope it was fantastic. Well, I'll do the shout out. Seems... Where are you, Vinny? Oh, are we still here?
Yeah, you've run out of pallets, honey.
Uh-oh. One pallet left.
You're not gonna have any more pallets left!
You're tabbed out? That's okay. Yeah, welcome in. I hope your birthday is fantastic. Ghost Exile. Is that like another Phasmophobia game? I feel like I looked that one up, or I saw Vomu play it. It's hard to say. Is it? Happy birthday, Spoopy Day! Oh yeah, it is. I feel like that might be one of the more, Dead by Daylight, no? Oh, yeah. The clip was from Dead by Daylight, but Mithra was playing Ghost Exile. Are you drunk? No, you're not. You can't use that as an excuse. Pretty good Phasmo clone. I can't remember if that was the one that I saw some gameplay to. That was actually rather spooky. Like I don't know, it just looked different. Had a different feel to it. Oh, you missed context. Yeah, that's okay. We're telling spooky, scary stories tonight. I just read a very well-written, spooky, scary story by Pengu here in our community. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We did some warm-ups and then went into some of the ones that we have here posted in the server. And then I got some no-sleep ones, some scary stories to tell in the dark for nostalgia purposes, and then at the end of the stream, I'll tell you a very ghost story of my own that my mother told me. It happened to her when she was a teenager. Made me question a lot of things for a long time. Spoopy Kaiko. Yeah. That's what I'm ghost tonight. Woo! It's scary. But right now, we have a Nova Scotian local legend from Bracky. Also, anybody that came in on the raid, if you have scary stories that you would like to tell, you can hop into the Discord server and leave them, and I will read them on the stream. Oh, right, my manners. Ugh, I'm so terrible at that. Make sure you get something to eat, something to drink, let the puppies out, stand up and stretch. You did a good job tonight, and happy birthday again. Iguazu. Back in the early 1700s, there's an island off the coast, Halifax, Duval's Island, to which was renamed Devil's Island. It's a small island, maybe 15 miles off the coast from Nova Scotia. It can be seen from Eastern Passage into Nova Scotia. I grew up there. There used to be a number of families that grew up there in the early 1800s. I want to say 1830s? About 15 to 25 families. They even had a general store. There was a lighthouse there, and the lighthouse keeper was said to be a bit peculiar. Supposedly, the keeper, Casper Henneberry, was seen talking to the actual devil in the lighthouse. They can still be seen from the shore today. It's been reported that the day he supposedly talked to the devil, that he died the next day on the shore of the island next to his boat. Well, apparently drowned. However, as time went on, in the following months, years, you could see wet paint in the lighthouse of Devil's Island, of footsteps going up and down the stairs. Apparently, if you go to Devil's Island on the winter solstice, you can see Casper parading up and down the stairs, filling in those very footsteps. But the story doesn't end here. It's assumed Casper's family was fraught with despair and dread at the loss of the patriarch of the family. But the mother managed to carry on and will go on her rowboat to shore in the Eastern Passage on a regular basis to get supplies. She never truly got over the death of her husband, and back in the late 1800s, with rum runners, which in effect were mafia of sorts in Nova Scotia, it's assumed she got into debt with them in an attempt to get a reasonable living. These run runners, however, chose to take advantage of this woman and killed her for her access to the many families on Devil's Island. She, having such a intense connection to her husband and therefore the island, can supposedly be seen rowing back and forth from time to time between Devil's Island and the Eastern Passage, always seeking supplies for the island. Kurama, welcome back. How are you today? You hope I'm doing well? I am doing well. Happy Halloween. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Gonna get some food and be back soon for Spoopy. I appreciate it. Are my arms tired? No. But yeah, I'm used to this. You can't see it. There's invisible, invisible little columns. Yeah. Pulling them up all spooky like. They gotta have the effect. Aw, thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it. You're back? I had to take care of some dinner prep, I understand. Aw, Mrs. Pengu is sick? I'm sorry to hear that. I hope she feels better. Happy Halloween. I wonder if all the spooky Pokemon will start showing up tonight. Like I said though, if you guys have stories that you have personal stories or stories that you can retell that you would like me to read, say the word now. And put it in the Discord server if you can. Let's see. How many of you know scary stories to tell in the dark? You have to run and hide? Under your bed because now you're spooked? Thanks for stopping by, Ek. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good night. And pleasant dreams. Or spooky dreams. What does Sophia say? Unpleasant dreams? I think is what she says. Unpleasant dreams. Personal scary stories? Yeah, or your favorite, like urban legend, things like that? Anything that you can type up or already have typed up? Yes? Sweet dreams, chat. You're also typing a true story? For a fun spooky story? To me? You can always join and tell a story if you want. I'm in the VC server. Your favorite is the Herald one? Let's see. Do you know what it's called? Ah, it's called Herald. Let's read that one. I understand what the yes was for now. You're supposed to do your second one? Okay, we'll read that one next. You gonna skadoot? Thanks for stopping by, Dom. I appreciate it. And unpleasant dreams. Have a good night. And happy Halloween. Same to you. And for this one, I prepared the pictures, sort of. Let me not have to move it, but you can see the pictures. Herald. Put it down here. There you go. That's good. You want good dream? Alright, pleasant dreams then. If you've ever experienced something scary, you probably suppressed it. I can understand that, yeah. Can't think of any on the spot. That's okay. I had to think of some stuff too. And then I remembered the story that my mom told me, and I was like, oh! Yeah, that one spooked me for a while. A long while. This story is called Herald. From Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. So I had the complete set, which was only 3. But I always found these stories spooky, not just because of the story themselves, but the artwork was so spooky. I loved it. When it got hot in the valley, Thomas and Alfred drove their cows up to a cool green pasture in the mountains to graze. Usually they stayed there with the cows for 2 months. Then they brought them down to the valley again. The work was easy enough, but oh, it was boring. All day, the 2 men tended to their cows. At night, they went back to the tiny hut where they lived. They ate supper, worked in the garden, and then went to sleep. It was always the same. Then Thomas had an idea that changed everything. Let's make a doll. Let's make a doll the size of a man, he said. It would be fun to make. Why, we could put it in the garden to scare away the birds. It should look like Harold, Alfred said. Harold was a farmer they both hated. They made the doll out of old sacks of stuff with straw. Stuffed with straw. They gave it a pointy nose like Harold's, and tiny eyes like his. And they had dark hair and a twisted frown. Of course, they also gave it Harold's name. Each morning on their way to the pasture, they tied Harold to a pole in the garden to scare away the birds. Each night, they brought him inside so he wouldn't get ruined in the rain. When they were feeling playful, they would talk to him. One of them might say, "How are the vegetables growing today, Harold?" And the other, making believe it was Harold, would answer in a crazy voice, "Very slowly." They both would laugh, but not Harold. Whenever something went wrong, they took it out on Harold. They would curse at him, even kick him or punch him. Sometimes one of them would take the food they were eating, which they were both sick of, and smear it on the doll's face. "How do you like that stew, Harold?" he would ask. "Well, you'd better eat it, or else." And the two men would howl with laughter. One night, after Thomas had wiped Harold's face with food, Harold grunted. "Did you hear that?" "It was Harold," Thomas said. "I was watching him when it happened. I can't believe it." "How could he grunt?" Alfred asked. "He's just a sack of straw. It's not possible." "Let's throw him in the fire," said Thomas. "And that will be that." "Let's not do anything stupid," said Alfred. "We don't know what's going on. When we move the cows down, we'll leave them behind. For now, let's just keep an eye on him." So they left Harold sitting in the corner of the hut. They didn't talk to him or take him outside anymore. Now and then the doll grunted, but that was all. After a few days, they decided there was nothing to be afraid of. Maybe a mouse or some insects had gotten inside Harold and were making noises. So Thomas and Alfred went back to their old ways. Each morning they put Harold out in the garden, and each night they brought him back into the hut. When they felt playful, they joked with him. When they felt mean, they treated him as badly as ever. And one night, Alfred noticed something that frightened him. "Harold's growing," he said. "I was thinking the same," Thomas said. "Maybe it's just our imagination," Alfred replied. "We've been up here in this mountain too long." Next morning, while they were eating, Harold stood up and walked out of the hut. He climbed up on the roof and trotted back and forth like a horse on its hind legs. All day and all night long he trotted like that. In the morning, Harold climbed down and stood in the far corner of the pasture and had no idea what he would do next. They were afraid. They decided to take the cows down into the valley the same day. When they left, Harold was nowhere in sight. They felt as if they escaped a great danger and began joking and singing. When they had gone only a mile or two, they realized they had forgotten to bring the milking stools. Either one wanted to go back for them, but the stools would cost a lot to replace. There really is nothing to be afraid of, they told one another. After all, what could a doll do? They drew straws to see which one would go back. It was Thomas. "I'll catch up with you," he said, and Alfred walked on towards the valley. When Alfred came to a raise in the path, he looked back for Thomas. He didn't see him anywhere, but he did see Harold. The doll was on the roof of the hut again. As Alfred watched, Harold kneeled down. Harold kneeled and stretched out a bloody skin to dry in the sun. Spooky. Margaret is scary is all get out? Yes, it is. I think that's the thing that always made it extra scary for me was the artwork. Do you love the books? You still own them? I had a couple of them. I didn't have the full set. I just bought this one on the Kindle, but when my books got ruined in the flood, I lost all that stuff. I feel like every household in America had those books at one point. I'm surprised that I had them and not my brother, because he was more into scary stuff than I was. But I had them. Visual novel stream? Sort of. It's a spooky, scary Halloween. Telling Halloween stories. And other various scary stories. Do you have any favorite ones, Kayla? Also, welcome back. How are you today? Or this morning. And I think Pengu said there was another story in there. Sure enough. It's called The Door. I want to take a drink and then we'll read this one. The cute little hands. M Ghost. My Halloween costume. Boo. So welcome back, Kai. How are you today? No scary ones except for Chasing Tales. What's that one about? No demon here, just ghost. I'm a ghostly demon. I even went in demon mode tonight because my eyes are black. Is it okay if your story is a little gross? Sure, as long as it's, you know... Depends on the kind of gross, but you should know better. You know what's good and what's not. Play horror games, after all. Shaking in your boots? You should be, I'm so scary. Skelly and I are the scariest. With his sick moves. Wolf Girls and Something Evil? That sounds like a fun one. Is that a visual novel? Or is that a story? Yeah, you think it's fine? If you think it's fine, I'm sure it's fine. There we go. It's a visual novel. I have to look it up. If it's good, we might play it. Because I want to do a visual novel just to see how we fare. Kind of like tonight. If tonight does well, we might tell some more stories. Kind of thing. If you guys want to. I don't want to bore you with stories. I do want to have, like... If I do it again, I want to do, like, sound effects and stuff like that. I was looking through some, and like I said, I had some saved, but now I've forgotten which each one was in my sampler. So... You see wolf girls all the time? The conventions you go to. A lot of anime ones. I've only been to like local Comic Cons. This is my local. I'd like to go to the San Diego one someday. A really big one. See all the costumes. Tales visual novel is beautiful. Oh, I do like that too when it has really good artwork to it. Alright. The Door by Pengu. Our beloved penguin. It was a few years ago that I first saw the Red Door. It stood out for it was sitting in the middle of an alley. Framed in white and mounted to nothing. It was just stood on top of the hard concrete, as if it was someone was playing a prank. I looked around the walls of the alley for hidden cameras or someone holding a pop out, or someone hiding to pop out. There was nothing. As I turned back to look at the street, I could see a busy sidewalk full of people passing by, but no one even hazarded to glance at me. or the door. I circled the door repeatedly, and finally decided to push it open, fully expecting it to tip over and make a loud crash onto the ground. Instead, the door was rigid, solid to the touch, and unmoving. Shocked, I put my entire weight against the frame. The door refused to give even an inch. I checked the base for screws or some sort of seal that kept it locked so tightly in place, but I could not find any hints of what bound it to the spot. As I stood and stared at the door, a sudden feeling of dread washed over me. Color seemed to drain from the world around me and left it washed in bleak gray. A voice began to whisper, like a hiss from a snake. Open the door. I so badly wanted to know why it would matter, as I had already circled it several times. And it should just open to the sidewalk on the other side. Before I knew it, my hand was resting on the golden knob. How it had gotten there was beyond me. My fingers began to tighten around the cold metal as if being forced, closed by an unseen force. A woman's voice came from behind me. "Hey, sir! What are you doing?" As if someone had punched me in the gut, I snapped back into control and tore my hand away from the door. Looking down at my palm, I was shocked to see a bright red, as if I had left it in a raging fire or burned in ice. Buried in ice. You can have an ice burn. My face must have shown shock. My face must have shown how shocked I was, for the woman was suddenly at my shoulder. "What happened to your hand? Are you alright?" Staring into her eyes, I gripped her shoulders with my good hand. Can't you see the door?" She turned her head in both directions of the alley, confused. Confusion etched in her features. "Sir, what are you talking about? This alley is empty." I turned to point directly at the door, but it was gone. No markings, no outline, just open alley in both directions. I could tell my jaw had tumbled open due to the sudden breeze of air passing down my throat. "That's impossible. It was right here," I said, pointing to the now exposed opening. "Sir, we should really get you checked out. You seem very confused, and I'm worried about your hand." I looked back at the woman, and the woman was pulling her phone out. I tried to assure her I wasn't crazy, and I rushed her to tell her about the door. I guess she was only half listening and nodding her head along to appease. Before I knew it, the police and an ambulance had arrived to take the crazy man, who saw doors and alleys, to the hospital. I spent the next 3 days receiving psych evals and being interrogated to no end. By the time they were done, I chopped it up to dehydration and exhaustion. A week after the incident, I was in a coffee shop across from that same damn alley. Every time I passed by it, I would glance down expecting to see a door, but it had remained clear. That day was the day everything changed. The same woman from a week prior was standing in the alley. The same door was there now. Unlike me, there was no one to stop her. No one to break the trance she had been put in. I watched as time began to slow. As time began to slow her. No, I watched as time began to slow. She pulled the door open. I expected to see the other side of the alley framing her, but instead, a black void was all that was visible beyond her. I was frozen in place, mesmerized by what impossibility I was seeing. Then a scream. A blood-curdling. No, this is fine. Then a scream. A blood-curdling. Loud, ruptured from the alley as the woman was grabbed by a behemoth tentacle and dragged back into the void. The door closed with such force, I thought for certain everyone outside would have heard it. No one turned. No one even reacted to what I just witnessed. I rushed from the coffee shop to the opening in the alley, ready to chase after the woman. However, by the time I got to the entrance to the alley, the door had vanished. I started to cackle, wondering if I truly was going insane. However, what I had witnessed had gone from a fever dream to reality when the missing pages started going up all over the neighborhood. A month had gone by. The woman was still missing. I, however, was cursed to know what had happened to her. I still see doors in alleys. Some are larger, some are smaller, but they all appear at random. I began searching to see if others had seen the doors and discovered a dark truth. Doors are known, but the message is always the same. Don't go near them. Don't touch them if you value life. Never open a door one should not be. Lewd? No, she's in agony. I told you I was looking up sound effects, but searching through all these, it's hard to find. There's more man screaming. and like cinematic horror sounds. Don't open up doors where doors shouldn't be. He was not ready. You did good. You did good. You did very good. You have to share some more stories. We have more story streams like this if they go over well. Absolutely. I would love to read more of your work. Very well done. Chewing? The story's by Biggs. A short one, but a true story. I like the sound of chewing, so I'm not gonna like that. I'm gonna take a drink with my garbage drink. Next time, I might read through and prepare sound effects. I also kind of want to push the buttons that I have on my sampler, but I'm afraid of what they're gonna be. I have a lot. Some of these would have been really great. Also, my reading was amazing. I'm glad to hear it. Very glad to hear it. I'd be really embarrassed if you wrote a really good story and then I just blew it. I thought it might have been going too far with the lady voice, but it it was the first voice that popped into my head. Alright. Chewing by Biggs Bib Bigson. My dad, as a kid growing up, used to like to explore for fun. Being from the country, there are many places you can go in the forest. My dad was 13, and he went to town with my grandfather to work for the day. During their time, my grandfather had to work late, so he told him that he could go and play around town for a few hours while he finished up. Dad, being the curious type, decided to go explore the town. Since he wasn't able to go very often. The town wasn't very big, but there was a park that he always wanted to go to, but was told not to unless he was with his parents. Boredom got the better of him, and he decided to check out the park for himself. It was late in the evening. It was late enough in the evening, there was only a little light coming from the street lamps nearby. Going into the park, which was basically a mini forest, filled with trees and bushes, he heard a noise. It was some rustling coming from one of the tall bushes nearby. As he got closer, he heard a large snap. And bursting out from the bush came a fox. That ran into him before rushing past. Breathing for a moment, thinking he was scared of nothing. He felt his pants where the fox had bumped him, and it felt damp. Then another rustle came from inside the bush. After a second, a dark figure burst from the bush, scaring my dad, causing him to fall over. He tried to turn and pick himself up, but the figure had moved to pin him to the ground. My dad screamed. I felt something cold dig into his back, cutting him. He still tells me he doesn't remember how long he was there, but always tells me he remembers the sounds of chewing. As soon after, a shouting was heard in the distance, and just as quick as it showed up, the figure was gone. Now you might think maybe it was a wolf or some other animal, but when my grandfather and the town's member ran to find my dad, they saw 4 cuts, smooth along his back. They took a flashlight to the bush, and inside they found a bloody knife and a trail of blood made by the fox. A few weeks later, they arrested 2 18-year-old boys on charges of assault and battery, and in their home, they found evidence of cannibalism. My dad, to this day, has those 4 scars on his back. Still can't stand the sound of chewing. Still can't stand the sound of chewing meat. I always thought his story was fake. To get me and my siblings to listen. However, when I went to visit my grandparents and asked them about that day, my grandfather went pale and refused to talk about it anymore. Happy Halloween, Benz! How are you today? That's spooky. Those are the spooky ones that get me because they're people. What you think? Most people, I think, are afraid of the things that they can't fight, like ghosts and monsters and the unknown, but it's real people. That's the scariest of them all. Because you never know who it is. A Sharpedo. As far as you know, it's real. I've been to the town before, and he shows you the park. It's crazy. I bet you could even look it up in like newspapers and stuff. Actually reminds me of another story that my mom told me, but I am very vague on the details for that one, so I'll save that for a different time. Nose papers, yeah, those. Honestly, it could be called that. You know, back in the day, nosy people filling out their gazettes. Humans are the scariest. Yes, they are. What's been people's Halloween fear today? Yours was dark dreams last night, then waking up with a voice saying killer. Oh boy, woof. Took an hour to calm down. This morning, it would not shut up. It was unsettling. Ah, you got some house guests, Kayla, or? Hearing voices is spooky. I do hear my neighbor's voice, but it's usually a. It startles me for a second, and then it makes me giggle.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's her waking up for a nap or something like that. And then she sneezes, and it's very like old person kind of sneeze. Ha chow kind of sneeze. So it's not so scary. What's another? Let's try one of the one of the no sleep ones. All right. She makes a lot of funny noises. Yeah, bait. That sound. It's the sound you would think somebody would make if they were standing on a tightrope, but they weren't in any serious danger. They were just afraid of falling. Like a tightrope that was maybe like 2 inches off the ground. It wants you to. I think you may need some sleep. Ended up typing out another local urban legend for you in the same spot. I will read that one next. You got it. I like those ones better than reading just random ones because I don't know what these ones are about or if they're any good. This one has 5.6 thousand upvotes, so I'm hoping it's a good one. You type another person one too? Fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. I'll take all the stories tonight. As long as they're spooky in some way. Some capacity. This reminded me of an episode of Futurama. You missed the Russian sleep experiment? Not yet. Nope. Not yet. I'm gonna read No Sleep one, and then we've got 2 more personal ones, it sounds like. And then we can read the Russian sleep experiment, because that one's long. So I've been leading up to it. This one is titled... It's a 2-sentence title. I don't know why. Give it a real title, person! The title is, My girlfriend was up unusually early this morning. I wish I never found out why. Yeah, I guess you could do that like a subtitle. Like, title is, My girlfriend was up unusually early this morning. A lot of rewards too, so I hope it's a good one. East Coast Canada is haunted as hell. Probably because that's where more of the history is for a larger portion of the civilization. With all the invasions and stuff. You know, and people moving in here from all the European countries. East side spooky. We may have West Coast sun, but we have East Coast spooks. Not wrong. Okay. wish I had some door sounds now. Well, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna take out the trash, my girlfriend Monica announced as she entered the kitchen that morning. Well, this story is unbelievable already. Most girlfriends don't want to take out the trash. It's stinky, it's gross. I hadn't expected to see her up this early. Certainly not after how late she must have gotten home last night. After spending Friday nights bar hopping with her friends, Monica usually slept in until late lunch. Okay, honey, I said without particular interest. Thanks. Grabbing the cereal box from the counter and plopping down one of the kitchen chairs. I wonder if she'd returned home earlier than the previous night. And I'd simply missed it. I mean, normally I woke up as soon as I heard the key turn in the lock, but perhaps that night she'd been particularly quiet? Or maybe she stayed out with one of her friends? How was your night? I asked as soon as I heard the front door click shut. What time did you get home? There's silence. I raised my head from my bowl, waiting for her to emerge from around the corner, but the corridor was empty. Honey? I tried again. My voice saturated with uncertainty. Monica appeared in the doorway, her expression unreadable. She didn't look disoriented or drunk, but she didn't seem quite right either. Her hands were fidgety, and her eyes wouldn't meet mine. Monica? I grunted, trying to tame up the lump in my throat. What's the matter? She took a deep breath and parted her lips, as though she was going to speak, but then hunched her shoulders and shook her head. I need to take the trash out, she said. I gawked at her dumbfounded, but you just did. She shook her head and glided towards the trash can cabinet, opening it and producing another bag from within. And just like the previous time, she turned on her heel and disappeared from the kitchen. Needless to say, the silent treatment was unlike Monica. Had something happened to her during the night? Had I done something to upset her? And where were all these bags coming from? As soon as I heard the front door shut, I leapt out of my seat and threw the cabinet open, expecting to... Well, I'm not entirely sure what I expected. Either way, it was empty. What's going on? I asked as she returned 5 minutes later, the same empty look in her eyes. Do you want to talk about it? She looked dubious. Monica? Okay, she said. But first, let me take out the trash. My stomach lurched as she flung the cabinet open again, pulling out yet another garbage bag. What the hell? I began, subconsciously pinching my arm, as if to ensure I wasn't dreaming. Where'd all these bags? But she wasn't listening. Instead, turning her back to me and retreating out the same way she'd come in. A chill crawled up my spine. What the hell was going on? I could have sworn the cabinet had been empty only a few moments ago. Where did all these bags come from, and why wasn't she taking them all out at once? Shutting the front door behind me as meticulously as I could, I crept down the hallway leading to the stairwell. I needed to investigate. Monica had never willingly taken out the trash before. She said the garbage chute gave her the creeps. Our apartment was on the 6th floor, so there was no way she was going down all those flights of stairs for a single bag of garbage. The door to the garbage chute at the end of the hall was ajar. and I could hear the faint wail of metal as it was pulled open. I swallowed, suddenly at a loss for what to do. I mean, wouldn't it be weird if she found me just standing there? And what exactly was I planning to say? I listened in, my skin prickling with anticipation, my heart thudding in my chest. Oh, what was I getting so worked up for? It's only Monica. For God's sake. She probably had a falling out with one of her friends, or maybe she was snoring again. Then she couldn't get to sleep. I'll just go and... But what I saw... I opened the door, will remain with me for the rest of my life. Monica was sitting on the door of the chute. Her legs already swallowed by the darkness within. Slowly but surely, she was edging her body into it. Her palms clammy against the metallic finish. She turned her head at the sound of the door opening, and for a brief moment, her eyes lit up with recognition. "Monica!" I cried, dashing towards her, my heart practically leaping out of my chest. "What are you—" But it was too late. Startled by my voice or my presence, she let go and disappeared into the chute. Her raspy wail reverberated against the steel. Thud. I wanted to scream, but it was as though I'd suddenly gone mute. Fear sizzled through me like electricity as I flew down the stairs to the manager's office. "Give me a key to the trash room," I demanded breathlessly. "My girlfriend's inside." He looked at me over the top of his glasses, as though questioning my state of mind. "That's impossible," he retorted. "Only I have the key." Tears were flowing freely down my cheeks, and my clothes were damp with sweat. I must have looked downright sight. Looked a downright sight? But I didn't care. She fell into the chute. I sobbed, grabbing the edge of his desk for support. From the 6th floor. Everything happened quickly after that. An ambulance was called. There were police. At first they were hesitant to tell me what they'd found. They kept insisting I sit down and have some water, throwing leaflets about therapy and mental well-being into my lap. "Please, just tell me. Just tell me." I kept repeating, but nobody was listening. Hours seemed to pass by, without a single word of affirmation or information needed to piece the events of the morning together. The ambulance left within about 20 minutes of the arrival, and then left the police to take care of it. I couldn't understand it. I mean, even if Monica was badly hurt, she'd still need to be looked at the hospital. So why had they left? Eventually, an uneasy-looking officer took a seat next to me. "Son," he began slowly, studying my reaction. "Your girlfriend is gone." I buried my face in my hands. Of course she was. She jumped down the freaking chute, plummeting God knows how many feet. "Your story isn't quite adding up," he continued, his eyes narrowing. "You said she'd fallen into the chute, but..." He took a deep breath, his forehead creasing. "But we found her... well, parts of her inside a garbage bag." My blood ran cold. It was like I could no longer understand what he was saying. His mouth was moving, but the sounds were jumbled without making any sense. Inside a garbage bag? What the hell was that supposed to mean? He explained that the garbage bag had been there for at least several hours before the police were called. He said that there was no doubt that his contents belonged to Monica. He asked whether I had any idea what happened. And in a much softer tone, he added that I expect to come in for questioning. When I finally returned to my apartment that morning, all I wanted to do was fall into bed and go to sleep, praying I'd wake up to discover it all had been nothing but a bad dream. But as soon as I entered the bedroom, the front door slammed shut. "Hello?" I called out, my voice meek and croaky. There's silence. A newfound sense of dread filled my lungs as I recalled the events in the morning. As I tiptoed slowly towards the kitchen, I couldn't help wondering if... No, it couldn't be. She was leaning over the trash cabinet, a new garbage bag in her grasp. She spun around and our eyes met. "I'm just gonna take out the trash," she said. I stared at her, my breath clutching in my throat. Here she was, right in front of me, talking about trash as if it was the most casual thing in the world. In a feeble attempt to make her stay, I asked the only question I could think of. I asked it, even though I already knew the answer. What's in the bag, honey? Villain of Legend, welcome back. Happy Halloween. How are you tonight? You look extra spoopy? Thank you. I'm Ghost. I'm Demon Ghost. What do you guys think of that one? Spooky Kaiko? Spoopy Kaiko. Yeah. It was good? I thought it was pretty good too. But I don't understand it fully. Who killed her? How she ended up in the garbage bags, we'll never know, but... I'm a ghost of a demon? Yeah, we can call it that. The next one isn't that scary, but it is to... Oh, we won't find it very scary, but it's very scary to you. We can go with Ghost of a Demon. I think that would make sense. Or a really bad ghost. Yeah, no, we'll go with Ghost Demon. Ghost of a Demon. I was thinking like a demonic ghost, but that's the same thing, isn't it? Boo! Ah! Or I could play the scary one again. Well, this one's a scream with an echo. A demonic woman scream? Yeah, it's pretty demonic-y. Oh yeah. Or a demon possessing a ghost. I think that's more what I was thinking of, like a... Like maybe they were possessing the person, but then the person died, so now they're just they're stuck in a ghost. So they're angry and spooky. That's why you don't get into possession. It's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game. Happy to see me? And tonight's been good. I'm glad to hear it. It's okay. The story was just okay. How's everybody? I think I'm doing fantastic. Telling scary stories. I wanted to do this for so long. It's always more scary if it's a local story. I agree. Like if it's closer to where you live or people that you know. Personal experiences or family experiences, I think, are also very scary. Garbage bag. What an elaborate way to commit suicide. Or murder. But the question is, did he murder her and he's in denial, or was it one of her friends? We'll never know the answer, because that's where it ends. But that's how all no-sleep stories kind of are. There's a lot of open-ended. Oh, this one's short, okay. I'll read this one and then we'll read the Russian sleep experiment. If you guys know anything about that one. I know a little bit about it already, but I'm certain it's gonna be spoopy. Demons can be ghosts? So phasmophobia tells me, at least. That's fair. Or probably the ones that did possessions and then they now stuck in a ghost. Scary stuff. Sounds like you stepped on a Lego. Garbage bags are scary. Just ask my cats. Monster is also afraid of garbage bags. Regular bags, like shopping bags, even the plastic ones, paper ones, cloth ones, he's fine. But garbage bag, terrifying. A mini scary story? I had a nightmare of something sinister. Oh, that something sinister was outside your door. I woke up cold, and the front door was open. What you just typed out takes place literally a 20-minute walk from where you currently live. Oof. Yep, babe. You love the Russian sleep experiment? I'm excited to read it. AC, welcome back. How are you today? You love scary stories? You're very susceptible to them. You get into it? Sometimes I can too, especially if they're told really well. And then, like I said, at the end, the very last story that we tell for the night will be the one that my mom told me from when she was a teenager. I found it very, very spooky, like I said. Trying to be braver this Halloween? You can be brave, just remember to lock your front door, and your back door, and your windows. Bales, welcome back. How are you today? Spooky, very spooky. Right now we're gonna read Stuck by Bigson. Well, I hope you just accept one day that your last name is now Bigson. Ooh, you did like a theatric stuff to it as well. Let's go. Oh, Biggs, I don't know if you guys know, Biggs is a good writer as well. We might have to do more story times. I'll get sound effects and everything set up if we do it. Yeah. Have you ever woken up without being able to open up your eyes? When I was 6 years old, I was in a daze, unable to open them, or move, or speak, or feel. The only thing I could do was hear. I heard the sound of a child screaming. I remember I was at school before I woke up. I remembered earlier that day, it was a fun day at school. The year was ending and we'd always had stations throughout the school where you could do fun things. There's a face paint station on the stage of our gymnasium, and I wanted to get my face done with a flag on it. I have a clear memory of looking at my feet on the stage as I went. Step. 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 Black. I'm laying down, assuming I'm in bed, when I hear kids screaming and crying. That's when I realized I couldn't move or open up my eyes. I thought, maybe I was still dreaming? When I heard my mom in hysterics shouting, "Is Biggs okay?" I do. "Is Biggs okay?" My best mom voice, I'm sorry. Then, like a flash, boom! Light filled my eyes, and I realized they were open the whole time, unmoving. This was real, and I was paralyzed. And I was the kid screaming and crying. I can say that was the worst part of the experience. Well, I can say that the worst part of the experience was that I could imagine the feeling of flailing my arms and legs in frustration, even though I couldn't move. Almost like being held down. But nothing you do makes a difference. And it wasn't until the paramedics tried to put me on a stretcher that I realized I was crying. I regained feeling of my body, and it hurt. For 2 hours after this moment, I still couldn't move. I still think about that day often, and I remember what it felt like to be completely unable to move. Yep, that would be terrifying. I would be in a panic, yep. Oh, Bibbs is here? Yeah, he's writing stories for us. Real stories. Bison from Street Fighter? Secret boss is Biggs Bigson? I like it. Currently in your room with your dog and cat? In case people knock on the door. I forgot to get candy. That's fair. I live in an apartment, so not a lot of people come here. I'm happy about that. The Cookie, welcome back. How are you today? Not a great experience. I don't even know what I would do. I'd probably scream. And I don't usually. Because, you know, fight, flight, or freeze. I'm a freeze. But I feel like I would definitely scream at that. Harpy Spoopy Night? Ignited Mustache? That's a fun name. Welcome to the stream. How are you today? Fun fact, it turns out you were shoved off the stage by a bully. He could have killed you! I assume it was a boy. The boys usually bully boys. Not that girls aren't bullies. I was bullied by girls, but... Oh no. Pretty good? Scared the crap out of some kids? That's always fun. Did you at least get them candy afterwards? Or no? No candy. Spooks and no candy. Yeah, doctor said if you would have hit your head any harder, you would have died. That's insane. No, yours? Wild candy? I feel like that's weird. Like, yeah, it was scary for my parents when I was hit by the car, but I don't remember it. I was too small. Oh, just kidding, you gave some? That makes it worthwhile. I liked going to the haunted houses and stuff like that as a kid. They never scared me though. I was too good at predicting when they would happen, and it just made me giggle. I'm sure it was demoralizing to all the people who put effort into trying to scare kids and just laughed at them. Makes them worth the heart attack you gave them? Yeah. You earned this candy. Being scared for a little bit. Terror, and then sweets. That's what the other thing Halloween is about. Terror is sweets and twerking skeletons. Fantastic. Now this next one that we're gonna read is a really long story, so make sure you get settled in. I'm actually gonna go take a minute and a half break and use the little demon's room. What did we decide today? It was use the washroom, go to the restroom. I will also do that. Your teeth hurt? I think you need your wisdom teeth pulled out. Oof. I hear that's bad. I didn't need to have it done. I didn't think my wisdom teeth came in, but it turns out they did. Just the top ones though, not the bottom ones. But they came in perfectly fine, and there was space for them. So I just have... I'm half-wise. He'd be so high, yep, I would imagine. I know my brother had his pool, but I don't remember what he was like. I just remember he looked like a chipmunk. And ate ice cream for a week, and I was jealous. The same when he had his tonsils taken out. Well, he didn't look like a chipmunk, but he ate ice cream for a week, and I was jealous. That's a proper band name. Terrace Sweets and Twerking Skeletons. That is an awesome name. I would go see them. TSDS. Short. Terrace Sweets and Twerking Skeletons. He had all 4 pulled. He kept 1. You had 5 wisdom teeth? Is that normal? I thought there was only 4. Maybe I have more and I don't even know it. You had your wisdom teeth pulled, the roots were wrapped around the teeth in the front, so you had to have 7 teeth removed? Ha! What determines if they need to be removed? Had yours yanked out? 3 of them. Took the Twilight sedation. High as a kite. Literally tried to dance out of the OR. You got your wisdom teeth out, and then your parents left on vacation. That's nice of them. That sounds like something my mom would do. Like, you're not in danger now, sweetie. I'm gonna go out for a month. I will see you when I get back. Don't eat anything solid and make sure you go to school. I would've. You also had all 4 pulled. Can get up to 8? 8 wisdom teeth? Oh, no, you kept one of the pulled teeth. I understand. I see you had 4 pulled, but you kept one of them, like, in your pocket. For displaying purposes. I think so? Not totally sure. That's interesting if you can. You woke up halfway through? It hurt like hell. Ooh. Ooh. That's a horror story right there. You did have an extra set of teeth too, though? All of your front teeth fell out twice. Turns out it's not abnormal. I had 2 teeth on the top that never came in when my baby teeth fell out, which is why I have room for my wisdom teeth. So they pushed everything together and made room for themselves. And then my bottom ones were like, nah. I don't feel like it. I'm not gonna grow. Yeah, no thanks. Give 7 wisdom teeth to the Tooth Fairy. Leaves a Dodge Charger under your pillow. Boy, that would be... I did ask the Tooth Fairy once for a gaming console. But I got a sassy note in response. You can't ask the Tooth Fairy for things like this. That's not what I do. Take a damn quarter and be happy. Yes, ma'am. That's all we got for a tooth was a quarter. Damn it. Just have a big gap tooth in your front teeth, but then someone snapped your tooth in half. The dentist fixed the gap when you got your fake one. You went to school with some terrible people. Like, cause I had the gap too, and they were spaced out where it wasn't like super gappy, but you could tell there was gaps there. And then when my wisdom teeth came in, it was like, whoop, shift these all forward, and there you go. Perfect teeth. In fact, my dentist asked me, he's like, do you have braces? No, we couldn't afford them. Like, your teeth are perfect. But I know you're missing 2 of your incisors? My incisors never came in? Like, that's just... They just fixed themselves. I don't know what happened. Oh yeah, Div, you're spoiled because your front teeth were getting pushed together. And you needed braces. So they pulled them to make room. That makes sense. He did, yeah. It sounds like just awful. Awful people. Yeah, it was mostly... Mine was like verbal abuse. Because that's how girls are. Yes, you won't get any bruises and scars, but mental anguish for the rest of your life. You're welcome. Thanks. Thanks for that. Take that hydrate, and I'm gonna go to the be right back screen. I'll be back in just a couple of probably like a minute and a half. I'm gonna check on Monster, make sure he has his food, because I don't remember if I fed him or not. And then I'm gonna use the... I'm gonna go to the toilet. As they say over in Britland, apparently. Which, how I was raised, it sounds vulgar. Like, no, you don't say that. It's gross. You're being rude. But then if you say I need to go to the restroom, you're too posh and snobby. Where's the middle ground? Your ex told you that you needed to that you grind your teeth at night? Or in your sleep? And you had no idea until she said it? The dentist said your teeth are ground down too much. Ooh, I clench. I clench my jaw. Not this again, toilet humor. But I have to tinkle, if you will. But I clench, so I wear a bite splint at night because I clench my teeth. And it hurts my jaw. It's morbid time is what it is. I'm gonna go morb in the bathroom and I'll be right back. That sounds gross. I regret saying that out loud. I'll be right back in just a second. God damn it. God damn it, Biggs. I should have clipped you today. Boo. was all like, no, you've done this enough where you clipped him out of context. Just, let him off the hook this once. Boo! You should've. Hey, sorry, you just work here? No, you don't. Wait, I won't hire you. Well, I guess we kind of... Well, never mind. I guess we are kind of colleagues, aren't we? I really like this background. I kind of wish that there wasn't always pumpkins in it. I would keep it for more spooky, scary stories. I feel like the pumpkins give it a Halloween feel, instead of just a spooky background. Hey, booing him? He's right. I didn't hire him. She got plenty out of context clips on Biggs. Actually, a few, but sometimes I let him off the hook because I know there's so many things. So many things I could clip. Brother drove you to the 19th century abandoned satanic church, all overgrown in the woods. It was horrible, and you stayed for ages. That sounds terrible and interesting at the same time. There's not that many. There's a lot of things I can clip you on. There's just not that many clips. Wacky Yaki is perfect for those kinds. Wacky Yaki? Dear God. Oh, Yakuza. Yeah. Some of them are just things that he said. Just in general. Some of it is because he read it. But like the Call Me Daddy one, that was not... I mean, it was because of Yakuza, but it wasn't part of Yakuza. Oh, Wacky Yaki is specifically Yakuza 0? But the other one's not so wacky? Just the Yaki part? 90% of the time is accidental. You mentioned the one time it's on purpose. You've clipped Biggs, he's very clippable. Oh, Wacky Yaki used all of Yakuza games, I understand. My Forbidden Golf stream, I think? Yeah. So somebody also clipped in there in our karaoke. Doing the Daft Punk thing. He's also been clipped in my Overwatch. Kai's also been clipped for my Overwatch, though. Ah, damn it. You guys must have not looked at the new sound redeems, or I didn't save them correctly? Let me look. Nope, it's there. Sound alerts? Oh no. You didn't. Did I? What did I do, possibly? Nani? It's free for people who are subscribed, even. The sounds, I mean. There's 3 new ones.
Ah, damn it.
There it is. I kept one for myself. Because I think it's more...
It's upside down, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I guess there is more too. 4 new ones. 5 new ones. 6. I had 6.
I don't like where this is going.
They're good ones. They're good ones. Oh yeah. Oh, the redeems are all the same, because I wasn't sure. Those actually get used a lot.
I'm unsubbing.
I'm unsubbing. I have no idea why he said that, or why I actually timed it right to clip it, but that's what you got. My man's subbing. Are you guys ready for this one? You got something to drink? A little snack? Blankie? You settle in for a long story? The Russian sleep experiment. Thank you. I'll do my very best to do it justice. That's a true story, isn't it? Or based on a true story? I don't remember. I should sound resume days. Happy stuff, are you doing? What the hell is going on here? I think I left that one on there. I might have gotten rid of it. Oh no, I did get rid of it. I have environment of welcoming. And you should just get the hell out. I love that one. Okay, here we go. Ikizo. Russian sleep experiment. It has its own creepypasta wiki? I didn't even know this was a thing. I should have looked more through this area. You've been slow and forgetful. Has creepypasta that spooked you for a bit before you knew better? Naruhodo. I think it's because it sounds like it's something that would happen. Daydreamer is your twin brother. I had a hilarious moment of walking in on voice acting on the biggest stream. I gotcha. I understand. That would be fun then. Here we go. This is really long for a creepypasta. Russian researchers in the late 1940s kept 5 people awake for 15 days using an experimental gas-based stimulant. They were kept in a sealed environment to carefully monitor their oxygen intake, so the gas didn't kill them. Since it was toxic in high concentrations. This was before closed-circuit cameras, so they had only microphones and 5-inch thick glass porthole-sized windows into the chamber to monitor them. The chamber was stocked with books, cots to sleep on, but no bedding, running water and toilet, and enough dried food to last all 5 of them for over a month. Test subjects were political prisoners deemed enemies of the state during World War II. Everything was fine for the first 5 days. The subjects hardly complained, having been promised falsely that they would be freed if they submitted to the test and did not sleep for 30 days. Their conversations and activities were monitored, and it was noted that they continued to talk about increasingly traumatic incidences in their past. And the general tone of their conversation took a darker aspect after the 4-day mark. After 5 days, they started to complain about the circumstances and events that led them to where they were, and started to demonstrate severe paranoia. They stopped talking to each other and began alternately whispering to the microphones and one-way mirrored portholes. Although they all seemed to think they could win the trust of the experimenters by turning over their comrades, the other subjects in captivity with them. At first, the researchers suspected this was a side effect of the gas itself. After 9 days, the first of them started screaming. He ran the length of the chamber, repeatedly yelling at the top of his lungs for 3 hours straight. He continued attempting to scream, but was only able to produce occasional squeaks. The researchers postulated that he had physically torn his vocal cords. The most surprising thing about his behavior is how the other captives reacted to it, or rather didn't react to it. They continued whispering to the microphones until the second of the captives started to scream. The two non-screaming captives took the books apart, smeared page after page with their own feces, and pasted them calmly over the glass portholes. And the screaming promptly stopped. So did the whispering in the microphones. After 3 more days passed, the researchers checked on the microphones hourly to make sure they were working, since they thought it was impossible that no sound could be coming from the 5 people inside. The oxygen consumption in the chamber indicated that all 5 still must be alive. In fact, it was the amount of 5 people would consume at a very high level of strenuous exercise. On the morning of the 14th day, the researchers did something they said they would not do to get a reaction from the captives. They used the intercom inside the chamber, hoping to provoke any response from the captives. They were afraid were either dead or vegetables. They announced, "We're opening up the chamber. Test your microphone, step away from the door, lie flat on the floor, or you will be shot. Compliance will earn you one of you your immediate freedom." To their surprise, they heard a single phrase in a calm voice response. "We no longer want to be free." Debate broke out among the researchers and the military forces funding the research. Unable to provoke any more response using the intercom, it was finally decided to open up the chamber at midnight on the 15th day. The chamber was flushed of the stimulant gas and filled with fresh air, and immediately the voices from the microphones began to object. 3 different voices began begging, as if pleading for the life of the loved ones, to turn the gas back on. The chamber was opened, and the soldiers sent in to retrieve the test subjects. They began to scream louder than ever, and so did the soldiers when they saw what was inside. 4 of the 5 subjects were still alive, although no one can rightly call the state of any of them in life. Food rations past day 5 had not been so much as touched. There were chunks of meat from the dead test subjects, thighs and chests stuffed into the drain in the center of the chamber, blocking the drain and allowing 4 inches of water to accumulate on the floor. Precisely how much water on the floor was actually blood was never determined. All 4 surviving test subjects also had large portions of muscle and skin torn away from their bodies. The destruction of flesh and exposed bone on their fingertips indicated that the wounds were inflicted by hand, not with teeth, as the researchers initially thought. Closer examination of the position and angles of wounds indicated that most of them, not all of them, were self-inflicted. The abdominal organs below the ribcage of all 4 test subjects had been removed. All the heart, lungs, and diaphragm remained in place. The skin and most of the muscle attached to the ribs had been ripped off, exposing the lungs through the ribcage. All the blood vessels and organs remained intact. They had just been taken out and laid on the floor. Fanning out around around the eviscerated but still living bodies of the subject. The digestive tract of all four could be seen working, digesting food. It quickly became apparent that what they were digesting was their own flesh that they had ripped off and eaten over the course of days. Most of the soldiers were Russian special operatives at the facility, but many refused to return to the chamber to remove the test subjects. They continued to scream to be left in the chamber, and alternatively begged and demanded that the gas be turned back on. At least they fall asleep. To everyone's surprise, the test subjects put up a fierce fight in the process of being removed from the chamber. One of the Russian soldiers died from having his throat ripped out. Another was gravely injured by having his his boy parts removed, and an artery in his legs severed by one of the subject's teeth. Another 5 of the soldiers lost their lives, if you count ones that committed suicide within the weeks following the incident. In the struggle, one of the 4 living subjects had his spleen ruptured, and he bled out almost immediately. The medical researchers attempted to sedate him, but it proved impossible. He was injected with more than 10 times the human dose of morphine, a derivative, and still fought like a cornered animal, breaking the ribs and arm of one doctor. The heart was seen to beat for a full 2 minutes after he bled out, to the point there was more air in his vascular system than blood. Even after it stopped, he continued to scream and flail for another 3 minutes, struggling to attack anyone in reach, and just repeating the words "more" over and over, weaker and weaker, until he finally fell silent. Thanks for stopping by, Suba. I appreciate it. Have a good night. Are you taking off too? Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Least favorite mod has arrived? That's a lie. The surviving 3 test subjects were heavily restrained and moved to a medical facility. The 2 with intact vocal cords continuously begged for the gas, demanding to be kept awake. The most injured of the 3 were taken to the only surgical operating room that the facility had. In the process of preparing the subject to have his organs placed back into his body, it was found that he was effectively immune to the sedative they had given him to prepare him for surgery. He fought furiously against his restraints when the anesthetic gas was brought out to put him under. He managed to tear most of the 4-inch wide leather straps away from one wrist, even though the weight of a 200-pound soldier was holding that wrist as well. It took only a little more anesthetic than normal to put him under, and the instant his eyelids fluttered closed, his heart stopped. In the autopsy, the test subject that died on the operating table, it was found that his blood had triple the normal levels of oxygen. His muscles that were still attached to his skeleton were badly torn, and he'd broken 9 bones in his struggle not to be subdued. Most of them were from the force of his own muscles had exerted on them. The second survivor had been the first of the group of 5 to start screaming. His vocal cords destroyed, he was unable to beg or object to surgery, and he reacted by shaking his head violently in disapproval when the anesthetic gas was brought near him. He shook his head yes when someone suggested reluctantly they try the surgery without anesthetic. He did not react for the entire 6-hour procedure of replacing his abdominal organs and attempting to cover them with the remaining of his skin. The surgeon presiding stated. That sentence doesn't make any sense to me. The surgeon presiding stated repeatedly that it should be medically possible for the patient to still. It shouldn't be medically possible for the patient to still be alive. One terrified nurse assisting the surgery stated that she had seen the patient's mouth curl into a smile several times whenever his eyes met hers. When the surgery ended, the subject looked at the surgeon and began to wheeze loudly, attempting to talk while struggling. Assuming this must be something of drastic importance, the surgeon had a pen and a pad fetched so that the patient could write his message. It was simple. Keep cutting. The other two test subjects were given the same surgery, both without anesthetic as well. Although they had to be injected with a paralytic for the duration of the operation. The surgeon found it impossible to perform the operation while the patients laughed continuously. Once paralyzed, the subjects could only follow the attending researchers with their eyes. The paralytic cleared their system in an abnormally short period of time, and they were soon trying to escape their bonds. The moment they could speak again, asking for the stimulant gas. The researchers tried asking why they had injured themselves, why they had ripped out their own guts, and why they wanted to be given gas again. Only one response was given. I must remain awake. All three subjects' restraints were reinforced, and then they were placed back into the chamber, awaiting determination as to what should be done with them. The researchers, facing the wrath of the military benefactors for having failed the stated goals of their project, considered euthanizing the surviving subjects. The commanding officer, an ex-KGB, instead saw potential and wanted to see what would happen if they were put back on the gas. The researchers strongly objected, but were overruled. In preparation for being sealed in the chamber again, the subjects were connected to an EEG monitor, and they had the restraints padded for long-term confinement. To everyone's surprise, all three stopped struggling the moment it was let slip that they were going to be put back on gas. It was obvious at this point, all three were putting up a great struggle to stay awake. One of the subjects that could speak was humming loudly and continuously. The meat subject was straining his leg against the leather bonds with all his might. The first left, then right, then left again, for something to focus on. The main subject was holding his head off his pillow and blinking rapidly. Having been the first wire to the EEG, most of the researchers were monitoring his brainwaves in surprise. They were normal most of the time, but sometimes flatlined inexplicably. It looked as if he were repeatedly suffering brain death before returning to normal. As I focused on the paper scrolling out of the brainwave monitor, one nurse saw his eyelids slip shut. At the same moment, his head hit the pillow. His brainwaves immediately changed to that of a deep sleep. then flatlined for the last time as his heart simultaneously stopped. The only remaining subject that could speak started screaming to be still then now. His brainwaves showed the same flat lines as the one who just died from falling asleep. Commander gave the order to seal the chamber with both subjects inside, as well as 3 researchers. One of them named 3 immediately drew his gun and shot the commander point blank between the eyes. Then turned the gun on the mute subject and blew his brains out as well. He pointed the gun at the remaining subject, still restrained, to a bed, and the remaining members of the medical and research team fled the room. I won't be locked in here with these things. Not with you. He screamed at the man strapped to the table. What are you? He demanded. I must know. The subject smiled. Have you forgotten so easily? The subject asked. We are you. We are the madness that lurks within all of you, begging to be free at every moment in your deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralyze when you go through nocturnal waves where we cannot tread. The researcher paused and aimed straight at the subject's heart, and fired. The EEG flatlined as the subject weakly choked out. So nearly free. You can listen while you sleep? While we're reading spooky stories? Yes. Also, happy Halloween? Yeah, happy Halloween to you too, Red. Such a good story. Yeah, it's spooky. Sleep is important. That's the whole takeaway here. So let's see what the current pasta of the month is. Why I'm here? Grey water? How long is this? Oh, that's not too long. Let's read that one. Unless we have more stories? Oh, we do have another story. Coal Harbor, Nova Scotia, 1749. This BGM is menacing? Yes. It's like a one-time use. You have to sleep before the madness takes you. Okay, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good night. Yeah, your story. You want to stay? I'll read this one really quickly. It's not that long. Not yet? Yeah, okay. We'll read it real quick. You got a question? Are my arms tired yet? No. I've got little invisible wires holding them up, so they're at rest. You just can't tell. You can't see the wires. Yeah. I've been holding up for 3 hours? No. The wires don't hold them up. That's why they're bent over like that. This one comes from Bracky. Coal Harbor, Nova Scotia, 1749. There's a family of farmers that owned the majority of land that Coal Harbor is named after. The family that owned a lot of land was the Bizet family. There's a road named after them in Cole Harbor, a fairly large town just outside of Halifax in Nova Scotia. You gonna read a fresh story? Because you got some inspiration. I'll be excited to hear it. Just outside of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and overlooks the harbor the town's named after. Across the road is a sizable farm, to which in modern day is a walking trail. There used to be an insane asylum. For those who follow Nova Scotian media, shows like the Trailer Park Boys and the movie Hobo with a Shotgun had scenes that are mainly was shot in the lands from the very same insane asylum. Apparently this asylum was around pre-World War II. That's a really spooky era. It had a short time as an operating asylum and would become abandoned before the war even finished. Nobody knows why the asylum shut down so quickly, but it's assumed due to poor treatment of the patients. During the time of it operating, the asylum never had many patients. However, there was one patient to this day, still not known whose name it was. Could be seen up to the night. Could be seen up to the night the building went down in 2018. The patient was there for the entirety of this asylum, actually operating, and had split personalities. This patient had two alters. One was a piano player who was in a class of their own, playing their instrument, but dreadfully shy. The original composition had a seemingly exceptional allure. The other was a chemist of sorts, and was very clever and intelligent, extroverted, and would attempt to experiment on other patients and their delusions, but never to any avail. The attempts of his patients helping others, while the chemist's alter would injure and mutilate them to an exceptional degree, to the point in which other patients would scream themselves to unconsciousness. Eventually, the patient with the two alters would hang themselves with piano wire that was snug into their bedroom when they couldn't help the other patients of the asylum. In the following decades, up to and including the building's destruction around 2018, it's supposedly been heard that you could hear piano playing in the middle of the night coming from inside the building.